evening and welcome to the Grafton School Committee public hearing for February 25th, 2020. I do need to actually vote to open the public hearing. So can I have a motion?
To make a motion to open the public hearing for the FY21 preliminary budget.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right. So we have a great turnout tonight. I want to thank you all for coming and say I've been on this board for 6 years and this is the first time I've ever had anybody come to the public hearing. So congratulations for getting involved and we appreciate you coming. So how it's going to work, Jay is just going to give a very brief overview and then we will open it up. If you haven't signed in, I think you all have, please sign in. I will call on you one at a time if you raise your hand, and you can introduce yourself, where you live, and we'll roughly, I think, give about 5 or so minutes to speak, and we're accepting public comment tonight about the budget only. So if you're here for any concerns about the schools, we certainly have, oh my, apologize, just got a Facebook message. We have open comment at the start of our regular meeting. So, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cummings and Mr.
Great.
Gale. Thank you.
And I'll be really brief, just to kind of set the stage. As you know, the school committee was looking for a 5.9% increase. That came back at 3.5, and then about 2-3 weeks ago, thanks to some changes with insurance on the municipal side, we received an additional $230,000 for the schools. We shifted our reduction plan accordingly, and I'll just touch on that in a second. That obviously gives us a short-term benefit for FY21. As we've talked about for the last 6 or 7 months, the bigger worry is obviously the multi-year outlook is certainly dire. In terms of that projected funding gap, that shift to 4.1 leaves us with $647,000 in reductions for FY21. And later tonight, and that's what the committee is going to be voting on, that bottom line number of $38 million plus for FY21. We're 7 months out from the start of the school year. Even over the next few months, numbers are going to change, and I'll touch on that momentarily. Over the course of the next few years, up through FY25, we're expecting a gap of $3.3 million and then $4.6 million if you look out till FY27. That's a slight decrease. Obviously, when we go up by $230,000 for this year, it impacts the following years. In terms of making that adjustment, what we did is we increased our use of revolver account expenditures, decreased our non-personnel expenditures, and shifted some personnel reductions. So instead of reducing by 8 positions, we are now looking at 4 existing positions. We're going to utilize an additional $117,000 in school choice funds to cover operational costs. We're going to include that second manufacturing teacher that we added last year and 3 paraprofessional positions for a total of $117,000. We're going to, again, decrease non-personnel expenditures a little more. That total is $106,000. And that third piece being the reduction of 4 existing positions in elementary teaching position, 2 secondary teaching positions in the assistant principal position. So those are existing positions. We're also going to remove that reinstatement of the curriculum coordinator positions that were reduced a few years ago that annually we've been trying to add back into the budget. So the personnel reductions total $368,000. In total, we're up to $591 with the remaining gap of $57,000 right now. As I touched on earlier, the new school year, 7 months out, without a doubt, we're going to have some changes. So the recommendations are tentative. Variables include state and town funding, enrollment, definitely out-of-district tuitions and transportation, and negotiations, which are ongoing with the 4 different units we have. So in terms of setting the stage, is there anything else that you guys would want me to add? I feel like you've heard that about 15,000 times.
No, I don't
Nope.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll get to
All
the
right, we
hearing.
will get out of the way.
Yeah, and one thing I forgot to mention, so if you have questions that we can easily answer, we're happy to answer them. If we have to get into a longer discussion, we will gladly do that, but we may take your information to get back to you. I think we'll just see how it goes. As I said, this is my first hearing with people who actually showed up, so bear with me. I will do my best. So thank you. And at that, I'll open it up for public comment. Come on, yeah, because we need people to hear you. You can sit wherever you are comfortable, yeah. Just introduce yourself. Thank you. You don't have to do your own.
Robin Callan.
I know you're a Grafton resident.
Grafton resident. Jay, you said the vice principal
Yes.
position.
Yep.
Which vice principal position would that be?
Right now, it would be at the high school.
Okay.
They have 2 right now, 900, roughly 900 students. We'll go over that next year.
Okay.
And we'll go from 2 to 1.
All right. That was my only question.
So I think some of the people aren't aware yet, or is everybody aware yet? Of who's being reduced? No,
Correct. That one, I
That
have,
one,
I
yeah.
I have addressed already.
right, so just an open, so we're obviously not gonna announce on camera who's being, laid off before we talk to them directly, but that one was easily done, but thank you. Next question or comment? Come on.
I'm Rahul. I'm Rahul Rathi, 22 Seaver Farm Lane. Jay, right here, one of the variables is town funding, and our taxes just got increased because our assessed values just got increased.
Yep.
Could that be taken into consideration?
That already is.
That already
Yep,
is.
yep. I put that up there. Like an example would be the insurance information that came out just a few weeks ago. If you asked 2 months ago, that wasn't,
The case. Yes.
we didn't know of that money. So things could change for better or for worse.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Right. Could definitely be for worse.
Yes, hi, Bob Anderson from 35 Danielle Drive. I'd like to ask about school choice. I understand that we bring in over 100 students from out of district, and I'd like to know how is that beneficial to our school district in terms of finances? It would seem to me that with a budget of, over $35 million, that the cost per student is such that it would be financially burdensome to bring these people in.
It's probably the best fiscal decision we've made over the past decade in terms of beneficial to Grafton. The key to doing school choice is having that economy of scale and having the space to bring kids in. If you just open the doors and have hundreds of kids come in, you're going to obviously increase class sizes, you need to add staff, et cetera. What we do is we have a few seats at every grade level, in total about 100 kids per district, across the district. So we take advantage of that economy of scale. We've had to add 0 staff because of these additional kids. And they bring in $500,000 to $600,000 in additional revenue for us every year. I would argue, I think I could do it pretty convincingly, that we probably would have had to have an override put before the town probably 2 years ago. So we use that $500,000 to $600,000 to pay for staffing, to help the burden, take off the burden from the taxpayers. We bring in, the average is about $6,300 per student. Kind of the run-of-the-mill number is $5,000. But any student with a special need that needs additional services of any kind, we bring in additional funds for that. If we had a school choice student, and we do, who might need a one-to-one aid, the sending district provides 100% for that. If they needed to go out of district for services, that's 100% on the sending district. It's definitely one of the best fiscal decisions we've ever made.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Carlson.
Hi, good evening. Peter Carlson, 42 Old Upton Road. I'm just here speaking on behalf of myself tonight and not my select board. I just wanted to commend this committee and the administration for coming forward with the budget projections at an earlier date than previous years. I think this was very important, and I just want to say I appreciate the due diligence and the huge amount of work that all of you have done to prepare the budget for the town and outlining what the ramifications are with lack of local funding. I just wanted to state that I'm in full support of the budget decisions that you make. I know that this board has gone through this for several weeks, if not months by now. But I just wanted to come up here and say thank you for all your hard work. I continue to support the schools personally and also represent them as best I can out in the community. Other than that, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Anyone else want to thank us? No, I'm just totally just kidding. Any other questions or comments? Lisa.
I know you're going to be speaking later about athletic fees, so since we're talking about the budget, the athletic budget has grown by 46% in the last 8 years, which is 5.75% per year. We have 27 teams at the high school. 3 are co-ops, which Northbridge and BVT pay fees to be a part of that co-op and that team. Families in Grafton can't afford it. I brought along with me some athletic wear, and I would estimate it's about $600, if not more, in athletic wear. And I know that many of the teams also purchased that. So I'm not the only one, or my children were not the only ones on those teams purchasing that athletic wear. And $200 per sport. Most of the athletes are on club teams at various times throughout the year, and they pay fees for that. My son, prior to going to Grafton High School, played hockey, and we spent $2,000 a year to participate on a private team. And when he went to the high school, we didn't pay anything. And I know that football and hockey at some high schools charge more for athletes to participate. And I'm recommending that this committee would vote to pass on athletic fees. I mean, yes, to pass athletic fees, at least $200 per sport. And I have some information about Westboro Public Schools and how they structure their program for fees. I've also got some information from the National Federation of High School Sports about booster clubs and opportunities for parents to get involved and raise funds. This committee, not all of the members on this committee have, in 2012, they were talking about athletic fees. Had we implemented those fees when there was a discussion then, perhaps we could have prepared a little bit better for this override, and this is the second override since 2012. Thank you very much, and I'll leave that for
Perfect.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for your research. Appreciate it. Any other questions?
Hi, I'm Sherilyn Reno. I live on Keith Hill Road in Grafton. I've been paying a lot of attention to all of the different meetings this budget cycle, and one of the things that comes up a lot in meetings, other than you guys, is you guys are increasing positions because of mandated hiring that you have to do for special education. I was wondering if you could tell me, like, what percentage of the employees that we have are these mandated positions?
Doing this for 10 years, and I think that's the first time I've had that exact question. I don't have an answer off the top of my head.
Well, is it IEP
Mandate.
positions?
Yeah, it
when
would
they
be around.
say-
I'm trying
I
to think of-
people throw
oh.
mandated around because sometimes I think they don't understand the school budget. So I think they say mandated to sound like so we're mandated to have a school resource officer.
Well,
We
and
don't
like the
necessarily-
one-on-one,
The one-on-one, yeah.
aides,
So
and
I
the,
see
like in the
what
you're
special
asking.
education classrooms, you would have extra
Yeah.
people. in.
Yeah.
Ratios of student to staff.
Yeah.
That's what's mandated. I mean, I can work on getting it when I give an answer, I'd like it to be accurate.
Okay.
The great majority of our special education staff is, like, our staffing is designed to meet those
Right.
ratios. We don't have extras, we don't have, I promise you, not a single special educator is walking around just looking for something to kind of do that
Oh,
day.
I believe
They're-
you.
they're-
I've been in the classrooms. I've seen what they're doing, so.
The mandated ones recently, we've spent, over the last 5 years, we've done a great job, I think, building up our intensive needs programs, K through 12, and we're able to keep more kids in district. We only send 31 students out of district right now, which is remarkably low, one of the, if not the lowest rates in central Mass, which saves money. It's an investment, but we save money, no question about it. As we build up those programs, now the programs are going, like, we built up a pretty robust program at the middle school. That new group is now going on to the high school. So we've got to add to prepare for those kids.
Right.
If we didn't add, like that in my mind, that's a mandated position. If we didn't, that group is going out of district, which obviously we're not going to let happen.
Right.
I can get you an exact number. I'd have to think about it some more about how to do it, but I can tell you it's got to be well into the 90s in terms of percentages.
Okay.
Did you leave your,
I will leave my
that would be
email.
great, yeah.
So I'll email you and see if I can give you an exact number,
Okay.
dig into it a little bit, but it's up there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Chantel Kimball, 5 Bigelow Way. I actually just kind of wanted to echo the sentiments regarding the athletic fees. I have sort of a question and also a statement, because I'm aware that the athletic fees are not enough to make a dent in what we need in terms of, especially over the next 5 years. At a certain point, I think it's an act of good faith, and I think we need to demonstrate to the taxpayers that we've really pulled every lever we can as we're going back to them and asking more money. I'm very concerned that if we don't put something out there for athletics and for activities, that it'll be very hard for that override to pass. The question piece is, I'm curious what sort of or if there's been enough discussion to anticipate what that number might be if we were to implement, say, a $200 per student per sport fee, even with a family cap, and like what the actual number is that makes a dent in the budget.
Yep.
So.
Do you, I mean,
Yeah, I know you really want to spend your night here, but I am doing a presentation on exactly that.
exactly
It's
a
gonna
little bit
be,
later.
Off the top of my head, I think it was 69,000.
Okay.
it's
that you
first thing on
would
our
bring in.
agenda right after 7,
Yeah,
so.
so it won't be long.
All right.
But I broke down, it really goes back to, I mean, this committee's been great about considering it. So the 69,000 was $100, thank you, Dan, per sport. It's 139 for 200, or a few different options were looked at, and that's what I'll go over. It was initially brought and discussed by the committee in October, so we're basically going to refresh everybody's memory and have that discussion.
Cool. Thank you.
Was there another part to the question?
No, that was pretty much it. I just,
Okay.
hope that it's going to be seriously considered just because of what we hear around town. So,
Got you.
thank you.
Thank you.
We take every single decision very seriously, especially one that will impact our students. Because our goal on this committee is student achievement. Anybody next? Anybody? Should I do it?
What?
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Is it song
Come
and
back
dance
up.
time?
No, it's not song and dance time. I was gonna do Bueller.
Robin Callahan again. The woman that talked about the fees, and she said that the fees have gone up the last 8 years.
I
The
think she said
cost,
cost
the
of
cost, the
athletics.
cost of
Right,
what?
right.
Do we know why the cost has gone up so much over the last 8 years for athletics?
A few different reasons. Probably first and foremost, the increase in the number of sports. Volleyball, for example, started up. Obviously, with transportation, that's a major piece of athletics. That's gone up. Is there anything else that jumps out?
Transportation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he said,
Transportation has gone up.
yeah. Yeah,
Any other big drivers?
That was a good
yeah, we added a few sports and in transportation, we can get more exact information
Okay.
about that.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No, didn't we pick up middle school?
Lisa?
Middle school sports.
I
Was
have
that always
copies
under?
for everyone
Oh,
here. I have the FY13 actual budget costs for athletics through the preliminary budget for FY21. And after the override, we added volleyball. And just, in the last year, we added wrestling. So I think if we're trying to tighten our belts, that we have to consider that we can't afford transporting wrestlers and volleyball players, well, I think athletics is great for our students. My children enjoyed athletics. I would have paid if there were fees assessed, okay? So here's some more documentation.
Thank you.
We also added Unified Sports has taken off, fantastic program in connection with Special Olympics. So we have basketball, flag football, and track, a very robust track program in the spring. And those, in a positive way, been great additions, but certainly there's a cost with that too.
James, come on up.
Hi, good evening. James Estrella, 5 Belmont Street, South Grafton. I had a question about any attrition that you see or anticipate coming through with staff, or any early retirement incentives that you might be proposing to sort of shorten the gap now and in the future as well. I read through some of the budget document. There's about 29 in FY 28 currently, 29 58-year-old
Oh, right.
staff.
Right. Yeah.
And I've seen early retirement packages starting with age
Yeah.
55.
In terms of early retirement, we did do that a few years ago. We're a little bit limited. We're actually quite limited in that it's basically built into our existing teacher contract with a basically for that retirement, a 20% payment out. So after that 20%, there's not much real breakage there. I think what we offered a few years ago was an incentive of $10,000. We've discussed it. Really, in the end, didn't move the needle much. It was probably a break even in the end, but that certainly could be considered again. We would definitely be looking at that hard if it wasn't already a part of the contract.
Sure.
In terms of attrition or staffing in general, we've talked a lot about and done some great work around in special education. We have a new director of special education and an assistant director. One of their biggest initiatives has been to look at our existing staffing, the process by which students are paired with one-to-one aides or one-to-two paraprofessionals, basically how we staff district-wide. Right now, we're trending for the first time in years in a very positive way. We're to the good right now as things stand. Granted, it's the end of February, a lot could change. But that's a fantastic thing for us, and that's something that we're really counting on for future years, override or not. That's going to be critical for us.
Okay, thank you.
Killing me.
Well, all right. Anybody else? We should stay open in case somebody comes in for 10 minutes.
It's going to be awkward.
It's going to be too, I can fill time, and that's when I say stuff that I totally regret. But I think I would like to say that I really appreciate all of you coming out and asking questions directly to us and getting involved and being prepared and doing your research. It's wonderful to see all of you, and it's very appreciative. And I will ask just one more time if anybody wants to come up. And with that, I will take a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Sorry. Second.
You second, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Aye. Oh, Amy, I thought you were like, no, I want more.
No.
We do want more. So we will adjourn for just 5 minutes so we can start on time in case anybody's coming. Oh, wow. That clock is very slow. It is 6:56. We will adjourn for 4 minutes and we'll be back.